Shane motherfucking McMahon.
It's true.
Shane McMahon. Our sources, and by our sources, Wrestle Talk and Fightful,
Yeah.
both reported that. Well, it wasn't just reported. We saw it. We saw it. A leaked photo of Shane McMahon and Tony Khan in what was told to be a meeting room at an Arlington airport.
Yeah. Having a little meet and greet.
And, the photo might be doctored. It might be doctored.
It's fake. Fake news.
I look at that photo, and Tony Khan looks like he was caught with his pants down.
He always looks like that, though. He was looking at the camera, and he's like...
But then you also see Shane in the corner of the photo. He kind of looks a little
he's like standing there. He was standing.
Yeah, he was standing, and Tony Khan was sitting.
He was like this.
Yeah. I don't know, the prospect of walking into this room. I wish I knew what the scenery looked like if it's one of those meeting rooms that you can see through the glass, or if someone physically walked into the room and it very clearly looks like someone took a photo on their phone.
Yeah.
And I gotta know who it is.
You know what I love? This is my picture I have in my head about this situation. Someone doesn't know they're in there. They didn't lock the door. He opens the door. He or she or they open the door. And they just stand there, staring at each other, all three of them, eyes going back and forth. They shut the door. They open it back up with their phone and take a picture and leave.
I don't know. There could be, we don't really have to speculate too much on how this happened, but, it's funny to think about someone going in there and they just happen to also be a wrestling fan. That's holy shit. I can think quick enough to take the picture. They could have been following TK and Shane McMahon. I don't know what kind of, I don't know if they have security for meetings like this. I feel like they don't always necessarily need it. But it's there. It exists. They were having a meeting, and about a month ago, we never talked about this here, I don't think, but about a month ago, Tony Khan, I think it was rumored. No. Jim Ross was talking about it on his podcast, I think, and he was like, yeah, Shane McMahon, and Tony Khan have never met, but they have talked about the prospect of working together. Yeah. And now a month later,
here they are.
People were speculating. Now people have a lot more reason to speculate.
Yeah.
Could we see a McMahon in AEW, and how fucking nuts would that be?
It would be crazy. I think, okay, what they need is a booker, someone to kind of lead the charge. Very honestly, I don't think Shane needs to be on screen at all. Don't even put him on screen. If he wants to be there as a talent, who knows? Him being there as a talent would not be beneficial at all, in my opinion. I think it would get eyes on it for a little bit.
Him there as an on-screen person is just the classic AEW cheap pop formula.
Yeah.
I think Shane McMahon as a producer, booker, GM, whatever you want to call it.
Even just the boring office logistical shit, figuring out how to get more, the business stuff, figuring out how to get bigger houses, figuring out how to appeal to the right audience when you're in those towns and cities. And because he led the way for WWE.com and the internet, and he was an on-screen character during those times, but that's just because it was the McMahons. You had the family, you had that stuff. But all the shit that he did for WWE, he helped it become where it is today.
I mean, you got to think of it from this perspective too. This kid, well, he's not a kid anymore. He's in his 50s, but this guy literally, we watched him grow up, more or less. He grew up in the business. Vince McMahon was his dad. Even though it's Vince McMahon, and we've that ship has set sail for that man. Shane McMahon has literally lived this business through his whole life to a certain extent,
Yeah.
and whether it be like, and he's like played all these different roles. He's been a talent on screen. He's a good professional wrestler for what it's worth,
Yeah.
and on the business side of things too, he's played the GM role. Um, he's done a lot. So I think if the cards are played right, I think that this will be a good thing for
Yeah.
AEW if it happens.
If it
Again, we
happens.
don't know if it's happening, but I feel like more or less you can kind of assume, given how this rumor was a month ago, and now it's like coming to fruition. They're having talks. So you got to imagine Shane
Something going
McMahon
on.
has some ideas for AEW.
Yeah, it's interesting because like when you had the whole WCW thing, like, oh, Shane bought WCW, but not really. It was for the story, Like,
Yeah.
this is a genuine like business fucking Shane going to AEW and like being a competitor essentially.
Yeah.
And Bully talked about something on Busted Open today. He brought up a really good point where this is AEW's first big like peaks and valleys, This is the first big like valley
Mhm.
after, all the CM Punk stuff after the past couple years. And he like if Shane does go there, he can help them like bring them out of that, because think of like the Monday Night Wars and think of the early 2000s and all that shit, like with the internet, even like Shane bringing in the internet, he can bring in some really good business ideas to get them out of the
Yeah.
valley.
I think he's had a lot of business flops. I think a lot
For
about
sure.
Raw Underground.
Yeah.
Um,
But is
was
that
pretty-
really a flop? It still exists in NXT
it
now.
does exist to a degree,
You
yeah.
know?
So like, and it also doesn't define him as like,
Right.
and his ideas. So I think we're on the cusp of something really cool and really interesting. And even if it doesn't work out, I think it'll be great to have it happen, just to say that it happened. And I think too, again, if it doesn't work out, which they, if they play their cards right, it will. But if it doesn't, it's just another one of those growing pains. And I know people are gonna be like, this is like, people don't want to see it, and I get that. I say, obviously, when the power's in your hands, it's harder to say this, but like as a fan, I'm just like, do it, like just to do
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
Like this is such a cool opportunity. I think you would get that cheap pop if you do see. I think if Shane McMahon shows up, even if he's not going to be an on-screen talent, he will show up on screen at least once
Yeah.
to get that pop. So I think they could do that, and then also do like have him work behind the scenes.
Right.
I think he could really bring a lot to not only the locker room, but also again just the business side of things. And like they're in a really tough spot right now trying to figure out how to get their numbers back up.
Yeah.
And WWE has been in very similar situations where they would also they've also been like trying to get their numbers up. Like there have been peaks and valleys.
Yeah, figuring out ways to pivot, and
there's always going to be peaks and valleys in wrestling. And again, this is just a growing pain, but this is some very interesting information. I know people are already booking dream matches. So I want to pose the question to you. If we were to see Shane McMahon wrestle in AEW, who are like one or two wrestlers that
Christian.
Christian.
His
Shit,
dad.
Yeah.
Just shit on his dad a whole bunch and you have your rivalry.
God, I didn't even think of that. Holy shit. Yeah, but his dad's not dead. Well,
No,
I mean,
but
his
his
career's
dead. It's pretty much the same.
Oh man, that
No,
would
I don't know.
piss a lot of people
I
off.
personally said, like, I don't want to see Shane as an on-screen talent. I genuinely don't.
I don't think we need to. Again, like we saw what happened last time, and then
Yeah.
before that, the last time we saw him was Royal Rumble 2022, and
And
ended up
Royal
being a
Rumble
whole-
2022 was,
that was the
also a
probably
Shane idea.
one of the worst.
Oh man.
One of the worst Rumbles ever. He had a hand in booking that whole thing, and
Yeah.
and then before that, I think it was the Braun Strowman "Don't Call Me Stupid" cage match.
That was
So,
funny.
like,
That was funny.
It was funny, but I don't know if it was good.
For
So
everyone
we
that
have-
called me stupid.
There's only one real way to find out. Also,
Yeah.
when do we see this?
I was just gonna say,
Happening.
do you think it could happen at All In or All Out? One of the two.
That would be kind of crazy. I feel like there's already so many things going on, but it would be
gnarly if he came out at All In, dude.
it would be pretty crazy. And I feel like, again, that's something that Tony Khan would totally do,
Yeah.
just based
Absolutely.
on yeah. So
You know how many
I don't know.
eyes, you know how many buys that pay-per-view would get?
Yeah, but you'd have to like really do something to like tease that. Like,
Yeah.
we can't. It's not like CM Punk where it's like, oh, he was rumored to be talking and like signing a deal with CM Punk, and Rampage got like 1 million fucking hits. Like, you can't do that with Shane McMahon, respectfully.
Yeah.
It's just not gonna happen.
It's true.
So I don't know. You'd have to do like maybe even like a fake leak, Shane McMahon.
What if this was the
team.
fake leak?
And I was thinking about that too. This honestly.
Do you think it could be fake?
Well, again, I don't think the photo was edited.
No, like a fake leak. I mean, like, do you think it's like a
You think they were
purposeful
doing
leak?
like, yeah. I mean, it could be, and just to get people talking and get more eyes on the product. Again, I don't put that past them.
Yeah.
But they've also leaked the all-in footage on purpose. And it got people watching, I guess. I don't know. Again,
Yeah.
Shane's a big name and a McMahon is a big name. But I don't know if they need to do that kind of. They need to pull that kind of move with Shane.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see where
All
it
we
goes.
know-
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll keep our eyes peeled to the telly.